Hey, okay, so I'm back, and I just want to show you a couple things. First of all, I don't know if all this is viewable for you, but I am building the course. I should turn this on tomorrow. I'll turn on one section at a time, so you should see this module with at least a discussion tomorrow. But until then, I'd like you to focus on a couple of things. First of all, make a short video, use your webcam or use your phone, and answer these questions. And upload the video to YouTube, and then paste the link here in the discussion itself. So click reply right there, and there it is actually, but that's a picture of what it'll look like when you go there. Click reply, paste your link there, and then you can comment to each other about your introductions. That'll help us to get to know each other a little bit, and that should be a good start. Two more things I want to show you. One, the syllabus. So all the documents can be opened in the browser. And I don't know if you've seen this flyer, but this was my attempt to make something look like the front page of a newspaper. And so what we're talking about is Comm 299, President Trump, Fake News and Freedom of the Press. And this picture is sort of the key moment, or one of the more well-known moments, when President Trump responded to a question about a story by calling it fake news and saying the New York Times writes fake stories. And so that's kind of the jumping off point for us to start looking into this class. As you can see, by the end of the class, I'm hoping that you'll understand the importance of a free press in our democracy, understand the false use of fake news and fake news as a threat to democracy, be able to identify fake news, fact-check news stories, and identify high-quality news sources. That's basically the goal of the class. So I'm hoping by the end of this class, you will have some good quality sources to look at for your news, and you'll be able to, when you see something that seems questionable, you'll be able to fact check it, investigate it, and have some tools to know, is this fake news or not? So this is the thing I mentioned in my in the welcome video. And essentially what this netiquette issue boils down to is, as soon as I started telling friends I was teaching this class, they were saying things like, oh man, you're going to have a bunch of arguments about Trump, good and bad, and all this stuff. And knowing what political discussions look like on Facebook and Twitter, I've been there. So I really want to avoid that, and so I just want to reiterate a couple points that are here in the syllabus. This really is not about President Trump. It's not about evaluating him as a president. We are using his communication as a case study, since he's kind of popularized this phrase fake news, and he's using it in ways that most people who study fake news would not use it. I think it's important to look at that, and also to see when he uses it, how does that affect the press and journalism, and also does that kind of get picked up in society, and how does that affect the way we look at the news. So rather than worrying about President Trump himself, we always want to be asking the question, is this good for society and for democracy? So, the basic premise of the First Amendment is that we need high quality journalism. We need a freedom of the press so that they can give us information about what's going on in society and in government. That allows us to be informed, and that lets us be good citizens and good voters. So the question we're asking, for example, and I don't think it's going to be difficult to prove, and I don't think anybody's going to question this, once we sort of see how President Trump has taken this fake news phrase and used it against quality reporting, the question we need to ask and talk about is this good for society and democracy? And we're going to study some of the limitations of the press. And as we go through that, we're going to ask the same question: is this good for society? We're going to find out about what fake news really is. And people actually do produce fake news. And we're going to ask ourselves, is this good for society and democracy? So, what you think about President Trump or President Obama, who also was known to use some fake news, do some shady stuff that's not really relevant in the class. And so I won't be tolerating any like back and forth about somebody's good or bad or stupid or smart or whatever the case may be. And as it says here, this is not a place to score political points or even to pick a side if you have one. Ideally, we're coming into this class trying to learn about fake news and the value of a free press. So you shouldn't come into this as a Democrat, Republican, liberal, whatever. You should come into it as somebody who wants to study journalism and fake news and figure out more about what is happening in that little piece of journalism and whether it's good or bad for society or not. So your side should be whatever is best for a free press and for our democracy. But that said, I don't want you to feel like you can't disagree, and the class will be a huge waste of time if everybody just agrees with each other. So we can differ about what is and is not fake news, what is and is not quality journalism, and those are the kind of things. How much freedom should the press have? Those are the kind of things we're going to discuss, and you should disagree with each other when you feel the need to, because that's the best discussion. Because I teach online, I have a lot of electronic communication every day, and it will really help me a lot if you follow this communication flow. In the discussion tab, there's something called Common Course Questions. It's pinned to the top of the discussion section, and you should treat this like before and after class or during class. So I'm in the room, other students are there, and you have questions you would ask in that context. Don't ask anything personal, but any questions you have about the reading, the videos, the assignments, writing, any of that that's more general information, you should ask in the Common Course Questions. And what's nice is all students see this section, so even if you don't think you have a question, you should check the CCQs often, because somebody may ask something that you didn't even know you didn't know. So some of the best students check the Common Course Questions often to make sure there's not something they're missing. So the Common Course Questions would take the place of everything we would do in the classroom if we were face-to-face class, and anything you might come to my office about that's not personal. You asking the question does not make it personal. So, do we have to use MLA style is not a personal question. Can I miss the first 3 weeks because I'm going to be at Disney World is a personal question. Okay, now another thing that you might want to communicate about are the assignments, the discussions, assignments, and quizzes. And what I would like is if you have a question about anything that's graded before it's due, ask it in the Common Course Questions, just like you would in a face-to-face class. But once assignments have been submitted, graded, and you want to ask questions about them, ask in the assignment comment section. It's really easy to get to. You just click your grades tab, you go to the name of the assignment that you want to talk about, you click it, and you should see a comment box. You ask questions there, you make arguments there, I come and I answer questions and make counter arguments or agree with you or whatever. And that's how we're going to communicate about questions you might have about the discussion or how I graded something a certain way. So any questions about assignments before they're due go in the CCQs. Once an assignment has been due, then communicate with me in the actual assignment comments itself. Okay, so finally, if you have a personal issue that you'd like to talk about, um, and it's not about an assignment, you can email me in Canvas. But I just want to be clear, if you email me with a question that belongs in the CCQs, I'm going to ask you to put that question there. If you ask me a personal question in the CCQs, I'm going to ask you to email me. So I know it seems counterintuitive, but I'm actually going to answer you in the place you talk to me. But I'm going to tell you if you're talking about what you're talking about in the right place. It may sound a little picky, but I promise you it saves me a ton of time if you can follow these rules. So every time before you're going to email me, before you're going to make a comment, maybe come back here to make sure you're commenting in the right place. I log in Monday through Friday. Fridays I'm usually pretty good about, but and if I miss Friday, I'll definitely check on a weekend day. And I answer communications within 24 hours. And just so you know, I don't grade anything until the due date has come, and then I'll have everything graded within 1 week. I don't see grading being a super time-consuming thing, but I do expect to give you lots of feedback about your ideas and arguments. I strongly suggest you don't work on this class on a phone, and I cannot vouch for the reliability of the Canvas app. I work on a MacBook Pro. Any laptop or desktop should be fine. I don't know if tablets will work. I definitely don't know about a phone. And here's information about desktop browsers you might need. If you're having any problem with Canvas itself, make sure you're using the browser that they specify. I have not finalized all the assignments for this class, and so typically I'll have a point scale, but for now what we're going to have to do is just use a percentage system. And as we move along through the week, I'll give you more information about this. But how percentages work is, let's say there's 600 total points in the class, and you have 400. 400 divided by 6 is 2/3. That's 66%. And you can see a 66% is a D. If you have questions about your grade at any time, just ask me in an email and I'll answer you. Here's the makeup work policy. I really just kind of prefer we do work when it's due. If for some reason you need to make something up, just let me know and we can figure it out. And the rest of this is all just CSN policies that may or may not help you. And so that is the syllabus, and that's the course. You're probably looking at this on Tuesday, hopefully, and I'm hoping by Tuesday afternoon I will have the first module open and you could get started on the actual learning about freedom of the press. But for now, make sure that as soon as you can, you do the introduce yourself assignment and you read the syllabus. And I'll be talking to you a lot more later. Thanks. Bye.